Hello and welcome. My name is Chris Cann with Mining Journal. With me, I have Alexis Morgan, Global Water Stewardship Lead with the WWF, the Global Conservation Organisation, and this is part of our Digging for Climate Change program. This is our third chat with Alexis around climate policy and water strategy, and today we're looking at how finance is being used to tackle climate change in mining. Welcome, Alexis.
Thanks.
We're seeing some groups use sustainability-linked debt structures that reward strong ESG results with lower interest rates. How important is finance generally in the mining industry's climate response? And broadly, how do you expect these tools to be applied, or how do you see them being applied at the moment, and how would you see that evolving in the near term?
Yeah, I mean, I think the answer is I think it's hugely important, and I think we are probably more at the tip of the iceberg than anything else. So I do think that we're going to continue to see growth. The recent years, I mean, it began with TCFD, and we've now seen the emergence of, beyond that, original task force on climate related financial disclosures. We've just seen the launch of TNFD, which is the nature related financial disclosures, kind of analog to that. And I think what we're seeing is just the tip of the iceberg on that. We're also seeing, I think, improved ways of handling ESG. It's a little bit of the Wild West right now, and a lot of players are still figuring things out. And that's everything from the ESG, ratings firms and data providers, all the way through to the companies, how they're handling reporting and disclosure, players like CDP, and ongoing refinements to information on that. So we're seeing a lot of that. We've also just put out some stuff on the water side on that. We recently launched a report on ESG and water called Bridging the Gaps in ESG Water Data to Create Opportunities, which is, again, kind of a dive in on that side of things. So I do expect there to be a fair bit on that. That's begun with a lot of loans and credit rating sort of issues, but we've also seen certainly a massive growth in corporate bonds, and even kind of innovative use around corporate lines of credit for use in the value chain. So I think we're seeing all sorts of really cool things beginning to emerge on that front.
So we're at the thin end of the wedge then, Alexis, in terms of what these tools might look like. I mean, how sophisticated do you see them getting?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we are indeed at the thin edge. I see there being a massive growth in this area. And what maybe excites me most about it is the opportunity to bring technology to bear in the whole mix of this, because it changes the game fundamentally on all different levels, not only on the ESG side, where we can automate data gathering and lots of other things along those lines. A good example of what we're doing on that right now is a project I'm involved with World Resources Institute in Deltara. It's called Global Water Watch. And there we're using global satellite imagery to be able to look at reservoir levels and dam levels in a near real-time kind of way, and look at extent and volume. And so when you've got that kind of information, you can begin to just link it together. And if we were to draw that together with the S&P mining data set, we can say it's that company's tailings dam and it's at this level. And that sort of stuff can be used, to inform whether people are performing or not performing, which is fantastic. And we're seeing more and more of that sort of stuff. But when you combine that with new financial products and services, that's where it gets kind of exciting, because you have these kind of pay for performance or outcome-based financing, and that takes it beyond just the ESG kind of rating side of things, and it really takes it into this space where you get solution providers in this space who get compensated if they can achieve a level of discharge out of a place, or if they can restore an old legacy project to a certain level, then the government will issue payments on a performance bond on those sorts of things. And we're seeing quite creative forms of finance to play into that. I would also say that part of the reason I think we're at the thin edge of this is that the demand for these kinds of things is just growing. It's growing because of millennials wanting to see more and more of this kind of purpose-led finance and putting their money where their mouth is on that. We're seeing it with development, financing institutions. So the DFIs and the multilateral development banks are really putting an emphasis on these pieces. So we're just seeing a lot more kind of the finance players doing that, and even the banks themselves are offering new products and services on that as well. So I think all of those are kind of coming forward. And as I look at it, as all of that stuff arises, the challenge on the back of that is going to be probably not so much the provision of capital and finance, but rather the sourcing of projects, because there's increasingly more and more capital available, but we just need more projects that are actually solving these things. So for me, that really creates an opportunity, and that can be, for, again, solutions providers. It could also be for, firms that are operating, development all the way through to the mine operators themselves. And there's opportunities to access, low forms of, or, inexpensive capital, grants, lots of things that can help kind of supplement sustainability budgets to deliver things as well. So all of that are real opportunities as we go forward. And I think, yeah, we are indeed at the very much the thin edge of the wedge.
So we're likely looking at a situation where there's going to be more demand for sustainability linked finance, and those structures might be more sophisticated, but the technology is potentially there to allow mining groups and development and exploration groups to see their reporting burden actually fall, because the metrics could be almost automated for them.
Yeah, I think that hopefully that's what we begin to see. I also think it's going to differ between kind of like ESG ratings for publicly listed stocks and players in that regard, versus more detailed environmental performance kind of mechanisms. So it's not just about like an ESG rating for a company, but rather, can you get your, arsenic discharges from, or a player that where you've got, I don't know, a legacy project and there's acid rock drainage coming out. Can you get a player that says, hey, I've got a solution for this? And a financier says, fantastic, if you can deliver level X coming out of here, we will give you X amount of dollars, right? And so it's not just the ESG sphere here. There's a finance, solutions and financing kind of piece that I think plays out across all of the realm of kind of, mining and metals, and across from exploration all the way through. And I think we're going to see more and more use of kind of just innovative financial tools in that regard, in the whole space.
Alexis Morgan, thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.